Hey, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Wish You Were a Beer Show. If you're unfamiliar with us, this is a live beer show that we do every Thursday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, right here through YouTube. It also streams live through Facebook and Twitter if you prefer those platforms. But we appreciate everybody stopping by like always. We try to have different beers on the show every week, talk about beers, drink beers, more importantly, which is always a lot of fun. So if you're not already subscribing to the page, please do. I'm familiar. Most of you will probably know the internet. So make sure you subscribe to the page wherever you did find us. And if you go down to the bottom or the about section there, you can find all of our different outlets. So you can find the wishyouwerebeershow.com, our website, which has got merch. It's got a history on all of our shows, kind of a running catalog of what we do here every week. You can also see all of our social medias down there at the bottom. So we do have an Instagram, a Twitter, and a TikTok. So if any one of those outlets you prefer, come find us there. We try to post stuff in between all three of them with some regularity.
TikTok.
Yeah. TikTok's the big one. We're really trying to get in some cutting edge shit before it gets shut down. So
I'm learning some TikTok dances just for this show.
Oh God, that's terrifying.
Yeah.
That is terrifying. Yes, and if you do keep up with us with some regularity, we are 75% full here in the show tonight. Tiffany had some prior obligations this evening, so you just give me and Phil, just two white dudes discussing craft beer, cutting edge here.
You can't get this anywhere else. We're breaking down the barriers.
What we lack in beer drinking experience, we make up for in pure diversity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But actually that 75% speaks to our poll that we have going on over on YouTube right now. But I enjoyed your thought process there.
Thank you. Yes. You can tell who knows how the show works.
It's a great transition. The question in the poll is, have you had a dark lager before? Because that's what we're having tonight. And so far, 75% have, 25% have not. So
and I think it's a pretty common. I think it's become more of a common style.
Seeing it a lot more, yeah.
Yeah, I find that I'm seeing it a lot more, just brewery to brewery, even locally, not necessarily on like the international shelves, if you will. But it's a great style. Czech dark lagers are a wonderful style. And they're nice and light and easy to drink, but make you look cooler. You know, because if everybody's drinking like a clear, see-through beer, it could be, it's probably a pilsner, a lager, something.
Like that dude is pounding stouts over there. I don't know.
God, yeah, middle of summer, and I'm crushing Czech dark lagers. He must have.
We got a comment on your hat, Daniel.
Yes.
I don't understand. Hey Siri, we got a comment.
Siri. Not now.
Oh, Siri just really interrupted the show?
Siri's talking to me.
God, that is amazing.
It's weird when you don't even say that.
I know. Always got to be listening. Always got to be listening.
These new computers, man. They're just throwing me off. They're listening to me all the time.
So, yeah, like we mentioned earlier, we are doing a beer out of Portland, Oregon tonight. And if you've kept up on the show, Phil spent some time out in Portland when he was roaming about, and he went to see a minor league baseball game that was the old Portland Pickles. So I got this
minor. It's lower than that.
I like to call it maybe AAA at best, but yeah, he got me this sweet Portland Pickles hat, and I haven't worn it in a while. And I, saw we were doing a Portland beer, so I said, "What a better time for a pickle hat than now?"
I mean, the pickle hat is good anytime, but
I agree.
Tonight, it really, really fits.
True story. So if you're, not familiar with Portland, they do have a great beer scene. Phil spent some time out there. Tiffany was out there somewhat recently, which is where we got this beer that we're having on the show tonight as well.
I've got another very rare, hard to find Portland beer, I think.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
You're drinking it now?
I'm about to pour it. Yeah. Because I figured, you know what? We're doing Portland beers. I'm going to find something you can't find anywhere. I believe that in Portland they call this a Heineken. I'm drinking the Heineken Silver.
Oh, it's a silver though.
Yeah. So I have not actually had the silver yet. It's actually fairly new.
Wow.
Yeah. it's apparently it's like a Heineken, but more refreshing and less bitter, is what they claim.
Okay. I don't get a lot of bitterness out of a Heineken, but sure.
Well, it's less bitter, so it should be crispy, drinkable, and of course, it's the 8-ounce can.
I was going to say, yeah, you're back in St. Martin, obviously, because you have a baby bottle. I was like, Phil, did your hands grow? What happened here?
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe. A lot of working out. How's the Heineken Silver there? Game changer?
It's exactly what they say. It's
okay.
Super drinkable. Heinekens, they're drinkable, but they aren't, I don't want to say they're not like refreshing necessarily.
Sure.
Like if you're going to have like a Coors Light, or if you're going to have like those are like, you can just kind of drink those. No big deal. This is kind of similar in that aspect.
Okay.
I think that's probably where they're kind of going with it.
That makes sense.
It's actually really good though.
Nice.
It's very easy to drink. It's refreshing.
Okay. I'm proud of
you. So making Portland proud over there, Heineken.
Heineken. I'm actually drinking a 1700 beer, which is who we had on the show a couple of weeks ago now while Phil was out of town, which we'll get to here shortly. But I'm drinking the 1700 beer. It's called Low and Loose. It's their hazy session IPA. So it's 4 and some change.
Low and loose?
Low and loose. Like a flight pattern.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That makes more sense.
All, military themed. Yeah.
Right. Okay, cool. How is that?
It's super good. It's one of my favorites. And because they're such a small brewery, it's been on tap for like 2 weeks now, and I know it's going to be gone any minute. So I was like, all right, just give me all of it before it's gone.
Give it to me. Put it in the fridge.
Yep, put it in the fooder. No, not in the fooder.
That one.
So now, if you keep up on the show, Tiffany's not here tonight, but for the past 2 weeks, we've also been missing Phil. Phil was globetrotting up. Phil, tell us about it.
Yeah, I was over in Dublin for a while, which we went over on last week's show, but I know we have so many more new viewers, so welcome new viewers.
Simo, good morning.
Simo. I was over in Simo's time zone area.
Yeah.
And I was in Ireland. I went to Dublin. I went to the Guinness brewery, of course. And Guinness tastes different over there. Everyone says it. You just assume it's fake, but it does.
It does.
I had a great time. And then I did New York, and New York was great. I did little like brewery tours, and we put one up on Instagram. Went to Rockaway Brewing, to 5 Hammer Brewing. All this was on Long Island City. It was great. It was like there's like all these breweries kind of in walkable distance to each other. So kind of did flights in each of them, bounced around, and had a blast.
That's always fun when it's walkable like that, and you can get 4 different breweries in. That's amazing.
Yeah, and we took the ferry over there, and I had never done the ferry in New York. Have you ever done that?
Yeah.
Besides the Coney Island one, I'd never done the other ones.
No, we used to, me and Steve used to spend some time near Rutgers down off Staten Island. So we take the Staten Island ferry.
Yeah, I've taken that one, but there's all these like little ferries that you can take around. I had never done it before, and I thought it was a blast.
Yep.
And then the other one, which Vero's informing me of, was Big Alice.
Yes.
And Big Alice was great. It was like this little tiny hole in the wall place. Everyone was super friendly. It's like, I love when you walk into those little tiny breweries and you walk in, they're just like, hey, what's up? What do you need? It's just like so casual. There's no one at the bar. You just walk up and they just talk to you, and then you sit down, and so that was and the beers at Big Alice were amazing, actually.
That's good.
So it was kind of funny. We kind of went to some of the bigger ones, and we went to this little like hole in the wall one, and I was like, this is where it's at. So
that's kind of, that's one of our favorites as well. Anytime we go anywhere, like give me the smallest place that you'll go in there, and there's no like pretension about it. There's nothing. It's just come on in, sit down, let's talk about beer. Yeah.
And there's like all the regulars that are just hanging out in there, and they're all just yelling at each other.
I love it.
That's my kind of vibe.
It's my kind of place, man. Makes me feel like I'm in my own household growing up.
Yeah.
All the regulars just yelling at each other.
You just in the corner drinking beers, 9 years old.
I tell you, my favorite part about it, because obviously, if you follow our social medias, a lot of different posts went up throughout that time frame. I loved seeing you and Vero at a brewery. Because we're always in different places. Me and Tiffany are always together, so we'll post some things. You'll post some individual things, or anything like that. So it was nice to see the other half of the show in the same brewery, if that makes sense.
Well, and it's hard because down here I don't have many options.
Yeah.
I don't really get to go beer hopping at different breweries and trying new places. It's there's 3 breweries here, so it was nice to be in a place like that and to be able to go out with Vero, and she's reminding me of things because Vero drinks a lot less than I do, so she knows everything.
She remembers.
Yeah, she said that we had a lemongrass beer that resembled the pickle beer.
Oh, I bet. Yeah, that's probably killer.
It had the pickle. It had that little pickle beer aspect, but then it was a little florally on the end. It was really, really good.
And obviously, Vero, yep, you're just one of the guys tonight. Sorry, it's a tough role.
We had a great time hitting up some breweries, and I haven't been able to do that in so long either because I've been down here on this island, and it just made me kind of miss that world. Just that meet at a brewery, hang out. One was filled with dogs.
I love it.
That just makes beer and dogs perfect.
Yep. They go together gosh, I got something here, but so many things came to mind that I don't think any of them are going to turn out well. So I'm going to stop myself there.
All right. Well, let's get into what we're doing tonight.
Yeah, let's do it.
If there's nothing else to talk about.
I don't think so.
Yeah. So let's get into tonight's beer. We're doing a dark lager, as we brought up. We've still got the poll up. We're at 83% of people have had a dark lager. We're down to 17% now.
Okay. Somebody changed their mind.
Yeah.
No.
One of the 3 people.
Right.
I mean, I've had the dark lagers. I don't know much about them. I kind of remember them popping up at one point.
Sure.
Out of nowhere, and me being like, ooh, this sounds like it's going to be good. I'm a big fan. So tonight it's just called dark lager.
It's just called dark lager, and it's from Fracture Brewing, and they're out of Portland, Oregon.
So I did a great promo tonight, by the way.
Honestly, every promo you do is great.
Flew out to Portland, shot it, hired a whole team. Yep. Everyone in this promo are actors. I hired them. Really got a great idea about what this. I have a feeling I'm going to like this beer. I have a feeling I'm going to like this brewery based off can art alone.
Correct.
I don't even need to get into it. I love the can art.
Yeah.
So
I'm sure it's going to come up again eventually.
It will. Yeah. Let's see let's get a little idea of what this brewery is all about.
Okay.
High production value.
Yeah, honestly, it's amazing. Some of the shots you get are so candid, and then some of them are so forced, which is crazy.
I think it's weird, but I like my artistic style of going with freeze frames on all my video shots.
Yeah, I love it.
That's all I do.
Oh, it's a decision. There is no doubt about it. I don't know how I feel about it, but it is a decision.
Katie, if you're going to ask that question, I'm going to respond. Do you want a cyber?
Correct.
That's the only response to that.
I just love that, if somebody actually put that in and anybody under the age of 30 saw it, they'd be like, what the hell does that mean?
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Good old days. We have a t-shirt for that actually on wishyouwerebeershow.com. It has all of our old handles.
True story.
Our
Forgot about
aim
that shirt.
is-
Damn it. That's a great one.
Katie, remind us again what your AIM name was. Put it in everyone. You know what? Everyone in the comments. We'll go over this again. Everyone put in their AIM names in the comments. Let us know what it was. If you had an AOL name before that, if you're really old school,
I don't.
They tended to transfer, but
put your instant messenger name on there. Something that I know I could find you on if I really needed to talk.
Yeah.
Where all the important business people hung out. AIM.
I'm going to end the poll. We're ending the poll at Dark Lager at 86% say they've tried one. 14 say no. Poll is now ending because we are getting into the next segment. So we got some new polls coming up.
There's another segment?
We got another segment.
Oh, I feel like it's been a while. But let's once we find out Katie is Emancipate Yourself or I Know Who You Are 7 or The Carrot Did It or Pickles Tattoo. Boy,
those are pretty good.
Yes. Andy, was your username message redacted, or are you trying to change something you said earlier? Because I feel like we've seen this before. All right. Jive talking pants. That makes sense.
Yeah, that does make sense.
That makes good sense.
Yeah, that fits for sure.
But that one time you met up with Chris Hansen, you had to change it. That's too bad. All right. Let's get into the next section of the show, which obviously everyone waits all week for, but we're going to do some history and facts now. All right. So this is the portion of the show where we're going to do a little bit of trivia or history and facts. Sometimes it's about the brewery specifically. Sometimes it's about the people involved. Sometimes it's about the beer style. It can be a litany of different things. But if you are logged in through YouTube or if you're on Facebook, you can comment along with us. So make sure that as we ask the questions, give us your answers down in the comment section, and we'll see who is equally as bad at this as me, even when I wrote it.
Keep talking while I bring in the slides because,
That's no problem. Again, tonight we're doing history and facts on a dark lager from Fracture Brewing out of Portland, Oregon. So Phil's been out of pretty much country for like 2 weeks. So
a little behind.
Yeah. I mean, you got to get back into the rhythm, man. I get it.
Yeah.
Get it. I mean, it's like riding a bike. They'll be here eventually. Okay. There they are.
We got them. We're in. That's
okay. We're in.
All right.
Andrew's going B right off the bat.
Well, that's not going to work out because the first one is true or false.
Yeah, so I thought I'd start with a 50-50 gimme, so to speak. But the beer we're having tonight, the Dark Lager, is one of Fracture Brewing's core beers. True or false? So, and if you're not really that familiar with the beer industry, a core beer is typically something that they keep on draft year round, and not a rotational beer that they experiment with or only do small batches of. Yeah,
this is a good true or false actually, because I'm going through all the like math of how, I know Tiffany found this in a beer shop, so that means they're canning it, which means it probably did well enough to can. It's a dark lager. You can kind of serve a dark lager year round. So, but then I look at the flavor profile, and we've got toffee, raisin, and milk chocolate, and I go, that doesn't sound like it would be highly popular. So that kind of makes me want to lead into the false territory on this one.
Okay. And before I did some of the research for this, obviously I'm on board with that thought process based off of the flavor profile. Yeah. I do think, historically a darker beer that's not a stout is always good to have in your lineup somewhere with any consistency. But yeah, when I saw the flavor profile of this beer, I was like, I don't know, man. Right off the bat, I was like, raisins? I don't know, bro.
I don't want to see the word raisins on my beer.
Yeah. But the answer to this one is actually true. So this is a core beer for them. So this is on draft nonstop, which is one of the reasons, again, probably why it was canned and does well enough to be put out with any regularity like that. Which I'll be interested to try this beer knowing that it's a core beer for them. Because, again, if it's a core beer and it sells even if you don't necessarily like that style or like those adjuncts, it can't be a bad beer.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, I don't think it's going to be a bad beer.
Okay.
That's for sure. But also, based on what I read about this brewery, based on can art, based on everything, I'm just kind of thinking it's not going to be bad.
Right.
It might not be the flavor profile I like, but I think it's going to still be a good beer.
Okay. Right. Exactly.
And I think and it's kind of funny that they're throwing in the chocolate, they're throwing in the toffee and the raisin, but then they're making it a dark lager and not a stout.
Sure. And I think that's the raisins.
Yeah.
In all honesty, I think that's really the cutoff point. I think if you made a stout with raisins in it, I don't know.
Yeah, but if you've got the chocolate and the toffee, you're kind of already going in that direction. It's like it's just, to me, like those two flavors alone scream stout to me.
Sure.
So to make that into a dark lager, interesting.
Yeah, that's fair.
But,
Vero, you're an adult. You can have cake whenever you want.
Yeah.
Just saying. You can have cake now. Right now.
This is all true.
All true facts.
All right. Ready for question 2?
I'm ready.
So this one I see is a select all that are accurate. So let's just say in the YouTube comments, just pick one of them. We'll see what happens. Who cares?
Fair enough.
Because you can't pick multiples in the YouTube comments.
All right. So
look out there.
The term dark lager is pretty broad, but it goes by many guises. Select all that are accurate. A Dunkel, a Bock, a Schwarzbier, and a black IPA.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, a black IPA is an IPA, so
is IPA even a style though?
I mean, but
there's a very big debate on that right now. Actually.
Yeah,
but
I mean,
yeah.
It still has the word pale ale in it.
Correct.
So that is, I love how I love when I look at these and I'm like, maybe I'll figure this out. I've probably learned something in 110, 11 episodes. And then I read these words and I'm like, I know nothing about any of these. And yet I know we've had every single one of them on the show. And I'm a big Bock fan, so I'm excited. I'm not a big Dunkel fan.
Okay.
So yeah. But I would say a Bock might be considered a dark lager.
Sure.
I think a Dunkel potentially, and a Schwartz. I'm going to go with A, B, and C on this one.
Yes, you are correct, Phil.
Oh.
And Phil alone. No, I'm just kidding. Everybody got that one. Yeah. So black IPA obviously is, there is an argument in the brewing world right now that was started. I don't remember who started it originally, but is IPA really a style? Which is what I was alluding to earlier. But
well, what do you mean by that? I haven't heard this. So
I think it's just some craft brew head trying to piss craft brewers off more than anything else. And I think he's playing semantics on like deep levels of actually brewing a beer. Is IPA a style, or is it a like a name of a beer at this point versus a style? Because you can do whatever you want with it. Like
right.
So we talk about all these like German purity laws and all that stuff where you can only brew with these 5 things. It has to be this. It has to be this. You do everything you want with an IPA and call it an IPA technically. As long as it falls within somewhat of the confines of that style. Oh, Dave watching from the airport. What's up, buddy?
Hey, good to have Dave back.
Yeah.
It must not be busy at the airport today, Dave.
Yeah, slow times.
Yeah.
Low travel. But yeah, so I mean, really, when you think about your darker beers, a lot of them get kind of corralled into that category as a dark lager. This one we're having tonight happens to be a dark Czech style lager, which gets a little more specific. But your Bocks, your what the hell is the other two? Now I'm not watching. No, wrong question. No, you already pulled it up. You're fine.
Yeah, this is why you're not supposed to touch these things.
I'm trying here. You're looking down at your hands.
No, I'm looking at the can. Sorry, I guess I got to remember I got to do everything like this.
Mm-hmm.
How do you know this is a Czech style lager?
Oh, it's down on the bottom of the can.
What?
Yeah, dark lager, Czech style dark lager right after the alcohol percentage.
You know,
Bottom right. Phil. Right underneath of the ingredient list says Czech style lager. Right here at the bottom. Phil, I cannot help you anymore. Check
this out. Look at this.
What?
Oh no.
Oh, this is fantastic.
What? Do we have different beers?
Does yours say toffee, raisin, and milk chocolate?
Toffee, raisin, milk chocolate, but it says nothing about Czech style lager.
They ran out of fucking labels or something.
I'm wondering which one came first.
The chicken. Can't just make an egg.
Yeah, but I'm wondering if when they made it originally, they were making a Czech style lager. It didn't end up becoming a Czech style lager, and then they had to change the labels, but they'd already probably done a bunch.
Interesting.
Right? Or vice versa. Or they were like, oh, someone forgot to put the Czech style in there.
Yeah, or it was just a label mistake, and then they were like, oh, well, we'll throw it in there. Some beer nerd was like, isn't this a Czech dark lager? You know what I mean?
I love how upset you were that I couldn't find it.
I was really concerned about you, Phil. I mean, when we started talking early and like before the show started, you were like, I went out to lunch. I had a couple of beers. I was like, no problem. It's a beer show. And then you were like, it doesn't say it. I was really worried for a minute.
No, that's fair. I understand that concept.
I'm actually really excited that it is not on your can because I'm way less concerned about you now.
Yeah, makes sense.
All right. So we're going to get into question 3. There's 5 questions. So I'm going to crack this beer.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, typically at this portion of the show, when we get into trivia about halfway, we're going to go ahead and crack the beer, pour it, and drink some of it throughout the rest of trivia so we can get a full round picture of it. So you don't get a knee-jerk reaction on what we think about the beer. And again, tonight we are doing a dark lager from Fracture Brewing, which is out of Portland, Oregon.
All right. Question 3 is going up.
I mean, I can't read and okay.
Oh yeah, you're a terrible pourer.
No, I'm great at it. So the label artist for this can, and I apologize if it's not pronounced Hana, but that's how it reads to me. Hana Lee, or she, they, is her pronouns, which were listed on her page as well, which is always nice. She also works with another really large-scale brand. Is it A, Nike, B, Reebok, C, the NRA, or D, Nickelodeon?
I'm going hard C on this one.
I thought you might. Hey, a paying gig is a paying gig.
I mean, I'm trying to look at the styling and who this connects with.
Sure.
And I don't know why, but it's screaming Reebok to me for some reason.
Okay.
And I don't know either. That means it's great because for some reason when I'm seeing this, I'm thinking Reebok, or I'm completely wrong, and then it didn't speak to me in any way whatsoever. But a lot of people I see are saying A and D. So, yeah. Let's see what we got in for the polls here. We got 67% are saying A.
Okay.
And 33% say D. No one is on board with me. So I appreciate the support, everyone.
Well, if they've historically seen the show, I think it's a safe bet.
Yeah, they know. They know. Just cross off the one. Oh, we got a C. That's probably very wrong.
What?
So tell us a little bit about this.
Yeah, so it's A, it's Nike. So she actually does what they consider to be color work for Nike.
Okay.
Which is less about design and more about making sure that things are cohesive within a certain design.
Okay.
Which I thought was, after looking at the can, I was like, oh yeah, okay. I could probably see that.
Yeah.
Yep. So but that's kind of cool though, to be, this brewery is relatively smaller in the grand scheme of things. I mean, they're just coming up on their first anniversary at the end of this month, which is really cool. So to have kind of this artist that does these one-off cans for them that also has a lot of larger brand recognition, even if you don't know who she is really killer.
Yeah. And I'm always such a big fan of when these breweries hire artists outside of the brewery to like do the cans to, and then it's always cool because you always end up with really cool can art. You always just, it's like,
I think if you can separate the process from the can art. So sometimes I think when people do it in-house in the brewery, they're so connected to the process that they can't separate themselves enough to make like an actual design that brings it all together.
Yeah.
Short of Abby, that tradition. She's a machine. Yeah.
That's just probably because she has to just lock herself away from Kevin and go work on some art.
100% and actually get something accomplished for once.
Yeah, absolutely. No. By the way, where is Kevin tonight?
God only knows. God only knows. He's probably doing like a double batch of something, and he's been brewing all day, and he's still brewing.
Yeah, normally he logs in, so I'm a little upset about that.
Yeah, I'm a little upset myself,
and I'm over it. All right, let's get into another question. Let's just keep plowing through this.
All right,
what we got next.
All right, so like we talked about earlier, Oregon is a great town for breweries. So Oregon themselves is a home to how many breweries / brew pubs?
Oh, geez.
75 plus, 125 plus, or 200 plus, or D, infinity, because numbers are fucking made up.
I like that you're doing this trivia. I know this is your trivia and not Tiffany's.
100%.
Man, Oregon had a lot of breweries when I was out there. So many. But I think I have no understanding of how many breweries could even be in a state of that size. So
boom. D. Correct, Scott.
Scott's always right. He's the new Vero. But I feel like Oregon's such a beer town. It's such a like that temperature, that what lifestyle just breathes beer. It's like why when I was there, it's like all you want is beer. It's just like it's got such a good place like that. Bearded guys love beer. So and there's a lot of those up there.
Truth.
So I'm gonna go with C on this one.
Okay. If C is right, then B is right. So B. Good job, Katie. Well done.
Fair. You could actually go all the way down to A on that one.
Correct. They're technically all right if C is the answer, except for B, because numbers are stupid and made up. You can tell who's great at math.
Yeah.
It really has an affinity for numbers.
We got 60% of everyone says B.
Yeah. So it is the current number is over 200 technically, but yes, you are in theory correct, Katie. If it is C, it is also B, also A. As long as you didn't pick A or well, technically they're all right.
Yeah.
But the actual number is currently over 200, which I agree with you, Phil. It's a weird thought to think of how many could you fit in a state. I guess I've never really thought about that. I know there's a lot of breweries around where Tiffany and I are, but could there be 200 in the state? Like Virginia's pretty good size. There probably is. Like,
I mean, there probably is. And I think because the craft beer world has just taken off like crazy, I think that number has probably gone up significantly
100%.
Just in the past few years. And I think we're probably going to see it kind of start to go either down or stop, because I think there is only so many you could have.
Yeah, I think there is like a threshold that once you cross, it kind of takes away some of the luster of it, so to speak. And there you go. There's almost 400 in Virginia, according to Scott.
But at the same time, it's like you could literally have a brewery in every town. Like everyone wants to walk downtown and go to their brewery and
get a beer.
Yeah, and then it's like, if the town's big enough for the two of them, which not many towns are big enough for the two of them.
Not us. Of the breweries. I see what you're saying.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's similar to a restaurant or a bar. So it's just kind of like, you could have more.
Especially when you bring in kind of that brew pub aspect, because food laws are different in every state as well. That's kind of one of the caveats for me, because there's some breweries that don't, in Virginia specifically, that don't want to mess with having an actual kitchen on site, because then there's different rules, different laws you got to follow. You can't be dog friendly. There's no dogs allowed in if you're serving food in house. So, then you've got food trucks versus this. So what makes it a brew pub versus a brewery versus there's a litany of rabbit holes there.
All right, we got one more question.
Okay.
And we're gonna drink this beer.
That's news to me, but oh yeah, I remember this one. Okay. So the dark lager we're drinking from Fracture Brewing, it features raisins. So what is the suggested placement of raisins within the brewing process? Is it during the mash, during the kettle boil, during fermentation, or no suggested time, brewer beware?
All right. I feel like you got to do. Why is the brewer beware? What is raisins seem like a weird thing to put in there because they're already so. I can't imagine what's going on here. So I feel like you definitely got to put them in. I have no idea what I'm talking about. I'm just going to go with whatever. I'm going with B on this one for some reason that I don't know.
Okay.
So, if you came here to know things and to learn from someone who knows things, I'm sorry.
Okay. It is the wild, wild west here, Gabe. You are correct.
I feel like there is a time though. I feel like the no suggested time, and I could be just double downing on how wrong I am. 100%. But I feel like with something like a raisin, there has to be a certain time that this thing goes in.
Okay.
I'm doubling down on my wrongness, aren't I?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Perfect.
So it's technically D. There is no recommended or suggested application for raisins within the process. The biggest thing that they talked about, and this was on the Brewers Guild that I was reading about this, is raisins have a really high flavor profile, especially in the brewing process, no matter where you put them. So typically most brewers will use them during the fermentation process and slowly cut it with raisin until they get the desired effect. But it also talked about how you can put them in at any point in the process, just like you can most ingredients in some capacity. But the brewer beware portion of it came from the Brewers Guild, because they mentioned, like, if you have a really great recipe and it has them going in this, this part of the brewing process, great, follow it to a T, because if you're an ounce heavy or an ounce light, you'll fuck it up. Okay. So most brewers use it within the fermentation end of things, because you can slowly add to it, get the desired effect, and then crash the beer and be done with it. But there are a lot of recipes out there that will use it all over the place.
Fascinating. I'm going to say keep raisins out of my beer.
That's fine.
Yeah, that's where I'm going with this one. Andrew's mentioning that they can clog the draft lines.
Well, that's pretty much anything. And it's more about the actual, like the lines coming off all the individual tanks throughout the brewing process. Because even with the beer we did with Coastal, there was a lot of rice in the base of that beer. And that was one of the things they talked about while we were doing it. It's going to clog everything. Like, you got to be really careful. You got to clean it really well. You can't, it's just going to fuck everything up if you do it wrong.
Yeah. It's like all those smoothie beers. Just seems like a nightmare of cleaning.
Yep. True story. Yeah. And Vero, that is one of the other things that they talked about as well, which is why they talk about adding low volumes of it and then continuing to add. Because if you just throw whatever you think the recipe calls for in the fermentation process, you're going to lose a lot of that flavor. Whereas if you throw it in a lot of the front ends of it, you're going to have a ton of that flavor. So they're like, most brewers will cut it in the fermentation process until they get what they want it to be, which is either really light or take it to a crazy extreme, and they're dumping gallons and gallons of raisins in it. Is that a measurement of raisins? Are they measured in gallons or ounces?
I believe.
Do people typically say gallons of raisins, or I had a 5-ounce box of dried raisins?
Yeah, no, I don't think it could be gallons.
I mean, it can always be gallons if you have enough ounces. That's the secret. These are all correct answers, Phil. That's how I roll on trivia.
I've never been more excited for trivia to be done.
Well, you killed it tonight. You're batting 1,000.
Yeah, 1,000 is like 1,000 because I lost. Negative 1,000.
Yes.
I don't think I got anyone right.
No, I'm being sarcastic. You lost poorly, very poorly.
Look, I normally do pretty great in trivia.
Normally kill it.
I make people think, you know. I bet you I made people question who knew that answer, and they're like, "Oh."
You made people question a lot of things in life tonight, Phil. I don't know if trivia was one of them, but
like, why are they spending an hour sitting here listening to us talk? Yeah, that's a question I ask myself every week.
Always a concern. All right,
we've done trivia.
Yeah,
we've had a few sips of this beer.
Correct. I know what's next. Don't warm me up to this.
Let's review this beer.
Let's do it. All right, so this is the portion of the show where we're going to take a second to review the beer. Like I mentioned earlier, down in the About section, all of our social media and all of our individual handles are all down there. One of which is Untappd, which is what we use to rate the beers. So 1 to 5 bottle caps, 1 being the worst, 5 being the greatest thing you've ever had. And tonight we are reviewing a dark lager from Fracture Brewing out of Portland, Oregon.
Well, actually, it's not a dark lager. Just dark.
Oh my God, it's just dark lager.
I mean, that's the name of it. We don't know if that's a style because they didn't write the style on my can. So, just saying.
I can't. Sometimes I'm not sure if this show is going to go on. Not just tonight, indefinitely.
No, that's fair.
Fair enough.
Totally.
So, Phil, we've had some dark style lagers like this. We've had a couple of Czech dark lagers in general. Do you want to talk about anything specific with this beer that pings your interest or leaves you in pure disgust?
So for me, for this beer, I'm a fan of dark lagers because I am a fan of stouts. I am a fan of kind of those darker, richer flavors that you get.
Yeah.
And I like that they've kind of figured out a way to make it where you get those flavors without it being a heavy, flat stout, or you get that that just like that stout flavor. Here you're getting like the carbonation of a lager, you're getting the fun chocolatey coffee dark kind of flavors in there, and it's something you can drink year round.
Yeah.
So for me, I like this beer a lot. I wasn't blown away when I drank it, and I don't think I wanted to be or needed to be. Like it's a solid beer. Like it's got. I don't think I even know what raisins taste like, so I'm not sure if I'm getting the raisin. But I'm definitely getting the toffee, and I think the fact that it's like the milk chocolate where it's not like that bittery dark chocolate.
Sure.
And I think that also helps kind of keep the beer a little lighter. So for me, this is just a solid 4. It's a great beer. It's no complaints about it. Yeah, that's where I'm at. I'm at a solid 4 for this beer.
Fair. I like this beer as well. I definitely same boat in consistency of I like dark lagers. If you have a dark lager somewhere, I'm typically going to try it, and it's probably going to be one of my favorites within like the realm of a flight at a brewery I've never been to.
For me, so sorry to interrupt that. Because you're going with this, you like the dark lager. I think for me, I haven't had enough of them consistently to know enough about what's a really good dark lager versus what's not a good. It's like if you give me an IPA at this point, you give me a hazy, you give me a juicy. I probably have had a hazy or a juicy or a West Coast IPA everywhere I've gone.
Yep.
When I go in and I see a dark lager, I get it. But then maybe I don't see another one for another few brewery trips.
Sure.
Or I'm not picking one up because I don't see one canned very often. It's like, so for me, it's really hard for me to know what a good dark lager versus a bad one is. So for me, it's more, my score is just kind of based off of this dark lager, how I feel about it. I'm not as scaling it as much on past ones that I've had because I can't really fathom what those are.
And I think that's okay. That makes sense to me. And for me, I've had a shit ton of dark lagers. This is a pretty good one. It's Like you said, you do get some of the chocolate notes. The toffee is definitely there, and like that was one of the first flavor profiles that pulled out of it for me. But I do get some of the raisin, and all that really is, it was done really subtle and really well. It is just that hair of sweetness on the back end of it to take away some of those darker tones of toffee, chocolate, that kind of heavy feeling to it, which gives it like a really sweet finish compared to a lot of other dark lagers. A lot of times dark lagers will have a little more of a, I'm hesitant to use the term smoky because that's not the right term, but kind of that heavier feel or that darker feel to them. With this one's got a really, really nice sweetness to it that I think comes from the raisins. I'm not a big raisin fan, but I think in this it's done to pull the sweetness out of it versus the actual flavor of the raisin.
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
It does. Yeah.
Yeah. So I dig this one from a dark lager standpoint. It's a 4.25 for me, which is where Vero is at. And Vero, this has toffee in it. Because I know we've had a lot of beers that have coffee like notes or coffee backdrops to them, especially the darker style beers.
Yeah, I think what she's saying here, she's happy it doesn't have the coffee.
Is that what it is? Okay.
Yeah, because normally the darker beers tend to.
Okay. Yep, you're right. I read that wrong.
It's like for her, probably this is good because the stouts tend to throw in the coffee. So now you're kind of getting a stouty beer without that.
Correct. Yeah, I read that wrong while I was talking. I was like, wait, hold on,
I'm going to say for a show score, especially because Vero came in with that 4.25, and I'm going to go with this 4.25 on this one as a show score.
Yeah,
which I think is a great.
Leche land. I love it. Yeah, no, that's a great score. Like I said, I think this is a really good variation of a dark lager. I think that little bit of sweetness on the end really cleans it up and kind of changes the profile of what you expect from a dark lager, which is fun.
Yeah. All right, we do our next little portion here. We're going to go into it. We're going to do it quick. It's every brewer's favorite moment of our show. We like to dig through Untappd because we do use Untappd on the show. It's our whole rating. It's what we do. It's what we sign on for. And we know how much brewers freaking love Untappd. So what we're going to do is now compare our thoughts on this beer with some other people on Untappd and see what they think. And let's see if we're on the same page. Here's the first one.
It's my favorite portion of the show.
Yeah.
I admit, strike one, never admit guilt. I tried this because of the great illustration on the can. Good art, good beer. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. First off, I thought this guy's name was Svenass. So that's where I'm at. So I'm already on board here.
I didn't even see the name until you mentioned that. And I was like, what? Where the fuck does it say that? Oh, it's his name. I got you. I love that he finished a nice bowl of cereal, cleaned the table off with his reusable napkin.
Yep.
And then was like, I'm having a fucking dark lager.
And you know what? Me and Svenass would be good friends when it comes to beer. We drink beer because we see can art that we like. And then we look at the style.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the day, we hope that the can art and the can descriptions matches the style. Here, to me, they've nailed that.
Yep, I agree.
No, Vero chili would have. Vero thinks that he was having chili, but chili would have some remnants of chili in the bowl.
Or Svenass eats chili like a fucking champ.
He could
go either way. Just, what we need to start doing? We need to start we've already pulled the review. I'm going to look up Svenass and friend request him.
Yeah, as you should.
God, and I'm going to be like, are you a chili monster? How did you get that bowl so clean? He'll be so confused.
Ooh, right. We got a little photo shoot here. Oh, no, that's up against someone's computer, I think.
Yes, right. It is. And also, they listed it as a great Czech dark lager for the final ascent. I don't know what cult this man killed himself in right after drinking this, but Ryan has gone on to be with who he thinks is Jesus.
I assume that Camp Kensington Falls is probably a hike of some sort. is where I'm going here with Ryan.
I like Colt. I'm going Colt.
I mean, it's similar, you're in the woods, you're in a camp. All makes sense.
Also, going for the final ascent on a nice nature trail and great hike and climb. Oh, let me get my MacBook Pro out. Take a day off, Ryan. Just be outdoors.
I work remote, man.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I do recognize some of these brewery names on his MacBook Pro, though. So
yeah,
it's nice
he's definitely an Oregon guy.
Yeah, and he takes his beer seriously because he
Obviously.
stuck it to his $4,000 computer.
Well, he got no badges, so I don't know how seriously he takes his beer, but...
Well, actually, I guess technically this would be whoever he's sitting across from his computer, probably.
Oh, so, even better. Yeah, he's not a computer guy.
Yeah, no. He's
not with that shadowing on the can. Ryan. All right. Czech Dark Lager, Fracture Brewing, still dark lager weather, which for me, again, I think a dark lager or a Czech Dark Lager, I think you can drink that year round. It's light enough. Some of the ways that they're doing it nowadays take away a lot of, like I said, some of that heaviness. This is a year-round beer for me anyway.
Yeah, it's like oddly refreshing while being chocolatey and toffee.
Yeah, 100%. And also, James got this beer at the same place Tiffany did, from John's Marketplace.
Yeah, Tiffany told me all about James.
Oh, God, yeah. Her and James spent time there.
Like, I met this guy, James Frothingham, by the way, which is one of the best last names for a beer show. And she was like, James
Frothingham. That's all I'm going to get stuck on now. Thank you.
You asked Tiffany about Frothingham.
Oh, she knows. Oh, great picture. Sorry.
Yeah.
The description on Untappd is a...
Don't worry. The cars are in focus.
Oh, yeah, 100%. We couldn't take 1 second to be bothered to click the screen to pull focus to the closest thing. Anyway, but let's rag on the description on Untappd because I'm good at what I do. The description on Untappd is a bit ambitious, but it's tasty enough. I would have loved some creme brulee and amaretto.
I would have loved 2 separate flavors that aren't on the can. Like...
Then go home and brew it, Dennis.
Or go find a beer with creme brulee and amaretto. What is going on here? I really wish that there was something other than the flavors that they said are on this can. Like,
if only there were creme brulee. I'm glad you know one French word, Dennis. Take a day off.
All right, that's it for Untappd. Good old Untappd. It's a place where dreams come true.
It's my favorite portion of the show, and every episode when we get to, I love going through people's Untappd reviews of a beer I'm having. It's my favorite.
Your second favorite portion of the show, though, is where we are about to go.
Let's do it. Let's wish we were beer. All right. So if you're unfamiliar with this show, first of all, thank you for hanging out with us and being here later in the program. But that being said, this is the portion of the show where we're going to take a few minutes to reflect on something we wish was actually beer versus what it really is. Could be anything you want it to be. So if you do have a wish you were beer for the week, make sure you put it down in the comments section so that we can see what you wish was beer. But since Tiffany's not here, I'm going to let Phil go first.
Oh, I was really hoping you would go first because
you want to wrap up with yours?
Yeah. I think that's what it is.
Yeah. So if you want to wrap up with yours because it's going to be such a game changer and we expect so much out of it, then I'll go first.
Game changer.
Okay. I'll try to lengthen mine so it gives you enough time to be a game changer.
Yeah, that'd be nice. Yeah.
All right. Mine, as always, is really easy because I spend so much time and effort imagining these crazy scenarios every week to bring them here to the show. No, for me, I just wish that Tucker Carlson was a beer because if I have a shitty beer that I don't like,
dump it out like Bud Light.
I can just throw it. No, I'm going to drink the beer. But if I have a shitty beer I don't like, I can just throw it away and never have to face it or think about it again. But despite that Tucker Carlson is all over news feeds and what he thinks and where he's going next. And I just don't give a fuck. And I'd like to have a different beer.
Yeah. Let's just say that you wish that he had more creme brulee and amaretto in him.
God, could you imagine?
Like, then I like him.
I think that makes him. No, I'm not even going to go that route. Never mind. Never mind.
All right, let's see what we got in the comments section. You got one?
Yep. I wish ambient dog smells were beer because we have those in abundance. The boys need a bath is all I'm getting at. And you should.
He's talking about his dogs and that. I was really confused by that.
Not his testicles. Yeah, exactly. I was a little worried as well. I was like, dude, you can just shower.
Let's see. We got another one.
I think that's it currently. I'm
sure
the Arrow will chime in. There you go.
There she is. Yep. Did you see her? Here it is.
I'm sorry.
I wish evil plans to get rid of the Bosphor beer because they would be easily obtained.
God, I hope your boss doesn't watch this show.
Yeah. That would be bad.
I'm okay with it, though.
All right, so, oh, no.
Same time.
Your game. I entered your game, and that's my fault.
No, I love it. That was perfect timing. Could never happen again. Scott, I wish bad days at work were beer so that I could dump and crack open a better one. True.
Just like Bud Light. No.
True story. Everybody hating on Bud Light, man.
No, I'm not hating on Bud Light. I'm just
still doing a lot of hating on Bud Light. Let the record show.
Yeah, that's me. Wearing the human rights shirt. Just hating
Phil,
on Bud Light.
A lot of don't tread on me personality.
Oh, we got one coming in from Katie.
Go ahead.
Katie, she wishes termite inspections for beer because I could just have a beer in my house instead of.
You should be so lucky. You should be so lucky.
I like to think that you show up shirtless for those.
Listen, in that crawl space, I should be getting paid extra. Let me just put it that. I don't know how anyone should take that comment, actually. Let me message redacted, Andy.
Oh, okay.
All right, what do you got, Phil?
So I wish that John Mulaney's new stand-up special was beer. Because it would drink so slowly and so wonderfully, and it was so interesting to watch his stand-up. I loved how open he was about his whole situation. How going through it, I thought it was so fascinating that he talked about every little detail about going through the process while still making you laugh about it. But one of the things I did, because one of the jokes in his new stand-up special, he talks about what his old, he was like, you're going to get a new John now, and it's like the old one ran around a lot and moved around and talked fast. And he's like, I wonder why.
Right.
And so I went back and watched an old special, and I was like, he doesn't shut up and he doesn't stop moving. And I was like, how did we all not see this?
True story.
But I thought his special was great. I'm looking forward to his next one when he doesn't have to talk about it anymore. And he can actually just level off and do comedy. Yeah. Definitely. But it was a wonderful way to use humor about a terrible situation, and using truth and revealing a lot about it. I really like it. So if it was a beer, it would be one of those slow drinking, sip on and really enjoy beers. And I did that while watching it. So that's mine. Nice. I'm okay with it. Yeah. So that being said, what are we doing next week? Speaking of slow and easy. I don't know if you've noticed this, but if you've been here before, you know that I just got back to St. Martin, which is why I have so many beers behind me, because the beer shelf is what we are doing in the future. However, it's Cinco de Mayo next week. Come on, man. So we are not doing any of these beers back here. We are doing a bring your own Cinco de Mayo beer. It doesn't have to be, just bring beer. Let's drink a bunch of beer together. Let's have some fun. Yep. Bring whatever you want. Tell us what you're bringing. It's going to be I know everyone loves our bring your own episodes. So it's going to be bring whatever you want, but try to fit it in the Cinco de Mayo realm. of a Mexican lager or something of that nature.
Sure.
Otherwise, bring whatever you want, like we say every week. But so next week we're celebrating Cinco de Mayo. I can't believe we're already back at another Cinco de Mayo episode.
I know. True story.
I feel like we literally just did one.
We did. But that's because we were drunk and we celebrated in January and we went,
that makes sense. You and I celebrated in dry January.
Correct.
It was a Tuesday episode.
Every day is Cinco de Mayo.
It was our Cinco de Mayo podcast that we do weekly.
Yeah. On the 5th day of every week.
That makes sense.
No, wait, that's Thursday.
We do it before the show. That's why the show's so good.
7 a.m.
So yes, everyone, next week we're going to do a Cinco de Mayo celebration. Bring whatever you want. Mexican lager is preferred, but we don't care. Not like you're on the show.
Yeah,
we don't see you. You can lie to us.
Tell us what you're having. Who gives a shit?
But, Scott is wondering if we're back in 2020. Why? Because of Cinco de Mayo?
It's
Grown off, Scott. Explain yourself. I'll wait.
I don't have time. Make sure you do us a favor, like we talked about on the front end of the show. Please like and subscribe here on the page. That does a lot for us. Go check out our website, wishyouwereabeershow.com. Join us every week. We do this show every Thursday night live at 8 p.m. Eastern. We love having people stop by. We'd love having people comment in the comments. Yes. Play along in the comment section. So honestly, come have some fun with us every week. Find us anywhere you can get us throughout all the social medias. Go through all of our past episodes. Tell us what you hated about them or loved about them. We're always open to criticism unless it sucks. But other than that, follow along with us. Let's have another beer next week, and we're going to celebrate Cinco de Mayo. That was the lead-in.
Oh,
yeah. Cool.
yep. Sorry.
Yep. All right.